And
how about,
I absolutely value reviews.
Charlene, how about the difference between approaching contracting officer and approaching the end user, program managers? What has been your approach to build a relationship and to get the interest of a program manager, a stakeholder, end user, whatever you want to call it?
So when you're building relationships with the end user, I look at that as two different ways. Are you talking about client, where you have to meet the client's needs so that they can be successful, or are you talking about their client, who are their end users? Frequently when I think about that, I think about it like when you're doing venture capital work, when you're doing venture capital stuff, frequently they're asking you, who are your offloaders? It's not in contracting and venture capitalism, whether you're doing RFPs or venture capital, whatever it is, you're not just saying, I have a great idea. You're saying, I have a great idea, and these are going to be our successes. These are going to be our return on investment. Whether that return on investment is social or financial, political, what is it going to be? You have to tell this whole story, not just, hey, look, I've got a light bulb. Okay, what are you going to do with the light bulb? Light bulb's a really great invention.
Right.
Really is.
But for what? Right?
But for what? And you have, when you write your RFPs, absolutely have to have what differentiates you. You have to be able to tell that story. How are you going to help the client? How are you going to help the client help their clients? Or help their mission or their passion? It is, what difference are you going to make? Now, it's not just how are you going to do it. It's difference are you going to make.
Charlene, aren't you pursuing work at FBI, given your past experience at FBI?
Say that one more time.
Aren't you pursuing work at FBI, given your experience in FBI? I mean, it seems like you're working USAID, Department of State, Department of Defense, but how about FBI?
The last 8 months, I did reach out to the FBI when I was helping the company in Washington, D.C. to ask them, what are your pain points? We're interested in having conversations about your pain points. And our conversation absolutely led into recruiting, qualified candidates and recruiting. It repeatedly with all the different entities. One, because relationships have been broken. Trust amongst entities in the U.S. has been broken. Trust with government entities and our young adults and youth has been broken. And, when you and I grew up, there was patriotism all over the place. And people were like, oh, I would love a government job, or I want to serve in the military. That's not really the case anymore. But that's your up and coming workforce. So we had a lot of conversations. One of the things, when you're talking about RFP, this is part of that shaping. When you're talking about, do you have the opportunity to have conversations, identify their pain points, and help shape an RFP coming out? Absolutely. And that was part of what we're doing, is how do we fix this relationship? How do we fix the qualified candidates? How do we fix people wanting to serve for the USAID, or wanting to serve for the Department of State, or wanting to serve for the Department of Education? Where is it that how do we fix those relationships? Those were my conversations with the FBI too. And we are working on a strategy to be able to use existing relationships that we have to give opportunities. I guess you could say the best way was to give young adults and youth the opportunity to interact with these agencies in a positive manner.
Gotcha.
Let them be a mentor at their school. There's a group called Cyber Patriots. They have, and I apologize that this is more on the tech side, proposals and contracting and RFPs, because that's what I do.
Cyber Patriots is a company or a group? It's a company, right?
Cyber Patriots is they are probably a nonprofit.
Okay.
They're a group. I don't actually remember their corporate structure. What do they call it? My bet is they're probably like a nonprofit type thing. Cyber Patriot. They have 5,000 teams, most of them in the U.S. They do have some international ones. They were, actually this answers our question. They were started by, I think it's the U.S. Air Force. Don't quote me on that. But almost all government agencies, they have teams in high school. They're trying to get them interested in, for that particular group, cybersecurity and STEM and leadership. Because in order to do these, you have to build leadership skills too. CyberPay, think of them as like debate. Everyone, there was the debate team in high school, or the debate team at university. So think of them as like the debate team, but they are your techies and they're competing for points. So our conversation with them is, you guys have a relationship with the schools. You guys have a relationship, not with the schools, but also with the government entity. How do we bring in coaches? How do we support you better? How do we change it so that you're not just competing for points? I says, we have a lot of entities, local governments, local cities that have to meet cybersecurity requirements, and they may not have the funding to do it. But your teams, both at the high school and the university level, they need something on their resume. So let's start having some conversations about how do we come up with, either through grants or a job. We can either shape a grant, or we can shape some job targeting, or we could maybe grab some recruitment dollars that are very have a very high cost right now for all these entities. How do we grab some of that, reshape it so that we can help mainly fix the relationship with the youth and the young adults?
Gotcha.
And get the ones that do want to do it, get them something on their resume, and at the same time help the local cities, help the local governments, help the small businesses that are putting out RFPs and stuff that now have to meet new cybersecurity standards to compete. You have to, like governments, like, well, you've got to do these things, and the small businesses are going, I don't have the funding, I don't have the staff. Okay, that's where we grab the volunteers, like Cyber Patriots, that are at the universities and at the high schools, and say, hey, you come help us, you come do an apprenticeship with us. When you get something on your resume, we can give you a letter of recommendation. Maybe not even just from the entity that you're helping tighten, but maybe we can get a higher level, stamp on, hey, you did a great job.
Exactly. I love it.
And help them have confidence in themselves, help them enter into the industry, and not just tech, because when you run a large effort like that, that's a national effort. When you run a national effort like that, you're going to need also your managers, your accounting people, your marketing people. You're going to hit all these other areas that a large organization needs, so you can offer apprenticeships, not just to your STEM people, but to your students that want to have a management job, have a marketing job, whatever area of business that they're in, you're going to hit those.
Hey, Charlene, last question for a general, for what type of opportunities you would like to, let's say, team with other companies? Can you give us a little bit of a big picture idea in what agencies you're looking for partners, for what type of opportunity? I'm assuming it's all cyber opportunities, but in what agencies you're looking for partners, or what type of, partners would you like to have?
So no, they're not all cyber. If there's other people that want opportunities, I can point you into opportunities that are other related. I have a lot of connections that want to be successful. We generally tend to concentrate on not just making the rich richer. Our real concentration is, how do we bring jobs to people that need jobs? How do we elevate up those that need elevated up? And how do we help communities become more secure? So when it falls into that, the type of relationships we build are, my number one is helping that pipeline right now, that pipeline of candidates. If an entity wants to get into those conversations, how do we help the pipeline of candidates?
Now, that is for federal employees or for vendors? Those candidates?
That is both. That's both. It is there. That's such a large puzzle. Puzzle's probably the wrong word. That's such a large need that has many opportunities in it that it is an absolute conversation worth happening. If we don't fix that piece, all businesses get impacted. Even agricultural now, the farmers have the robots that go out and plow their fields and come out of the barn all by themselves and go plow the field or whatever else they're doing, and then drive back to its little barn and plug itself back in. Technology has touched about everything, and if we don't fix having a younger generation that wants to support that technology, not just play with the technology, but actually support the technology, actually be the scientists, the engineers, the subject matter experts, the newbies going, I want to learn that. Then... All right,
so you're interested in companies that maybe, or organizations that can provide qualified candidates for cyber, right?
They don't have to be qualified. Just to help build those qualified candidates. Okay. Not necessarily have, but build those qualified candidates. Because right now there's not enough qualified candidates. That's why the reason I'm not in DC right now is because the company I was helping, they landed a contract that was $160 million, and it required some very unicorn peoples. $160 million worth of your high-end unicorn. They're very hard to recruit, very hard to find, and we've got an $80 million piece coming behind that. So we've got $260 million of these unicorns that we need to find, and we're like, oh my goodness, where are we going to find them?
Hey, it's a good problem to have, right?
It is. And people have to be willing to have that conversation. How do we fix? And that piece helps shape those conversations, shape the contracts coming out, the RFPs. They shape the RFIs. They shape the RFPs. Being willing to have that's not the only challenge out, but it is an example of if you're really willing to go in and don't be afraid of the leadership. Go have a conversation with them. Talk to the people in DC. Talk to the people at your local base or at your local state government or county government. Go talk to them. Ask them, what are your pain points? Really have a conversation. Build that relationship and figure out, do you have solutions or do you have friends that have solutions? And have those conversations because they have a lot on their plate. And so the more you can help them shape what is going to come out in an RFI, RFP. But that's the reason why the RFIs come out. Right. Because they're hoping that's not the only way they're getting information. Because those RFIs are a request for information. It's a very quick request usually. So those very quick requests aren't going to give them all the answers that they need, and they're not going to include all the conversations. It's actually go have a conversation with whoever it is you want to do business with. And if you don't have a relationship with them yet, then go look at the joint venture structure out there. Go find somebody that does have a relationship with them. Be willing to do a joint venture with them. Go look at the mentor opportunities available in the industry. The mentor-protege opportunities available in contracting for when you're looking at RFPs, it's huge. The government is saying, we're allowing this company to say they want to mentor you. They benefit from it. You benefit from it. It helps somebody new get in, and eventually you will be able to then turn around and help another new company. Right. There's so many resources out there. There's so many resources that they're willing to say, we want to help you figure this out. We want to be successful. Please help us meet our needs.
Thank you, Charlene. I love it. You have a good story, very diverse. That will give you a lot of advantages, right? Because you have been in different areas. Some other vendors, they haven't been a federal employee, so that's a little bit of that. But thank you for your time.